Beneath the surface of every garden, something amazing is happening, even if you can't see it. It's a world that honestly, most of us rarely think about, but it's absolutely essential for the health of everything growing above ground. Most gardeners spend their time worrying about what they can see above the soil: leaves, flowers, pests, watering schedules. But the real story of a thriving garden happens underground. If your plants seem weak, your soil dries out quickly, or your harvests feel disappointing no matter how much you fertilize, the problem might not be nutrients at all. The problem might be that your soil is missing life. One of the most important signs of healthy soil is the presence of earthworms. These quiet workers transform ordinary dirt into a living ecosystem. They loosen compacted ground, carry organic matter deeper into the soil, and leave behind nutrient-rich castings that plants can easily absorb. A single thriving worm population can completely change how soil behaves. Yet many modern gardens, especially raised beds or newly built gardens, contain very few worms. Sterile bagged soil, frequent disturbance, and lack of organic matter create an environment where worms simply don't stay. The good news is that restoring worm activity doesn't require expensive soil products or complicated systems. Two simple techniques can turn nearly any garden bed into a thriving habitat for earthworms, improving soil structure, fertility, and plant growth naturally. Before we dive into these methods, take a moment to support the channel. If you enjoy practical gardening guides like this one, make sure to like the video, share it with fellow growers, leave a comment with your gardening experience, and subscribe to Nature's Flora for more soil-first gardening knowledge. Now let's get into the two simple changes that can transform lifeless soil into a worm-rich ecosystem. So, to really understand why these methods work, it helps to know what earthworms actually do for your garden. Earthworms function kind of like natural soil engineers. As they tunnel through the ground, they create channels that let water, air, and plant roots move more easily through the soil. These tunnels, improve drainage while also helping the soil hold on to moisture during dry periods. At the same time, worms are constantly consuming organic material like decomposing leaves, plant matter, and microorganisms. What they leave behind are worm castings, which are honestly one of the richest natural fertilizers you can find. These castings contain balanced nutrients, beneficial microbes, and compounds that really improve soil structure. Gardens with active worm populations usually have better nutrient cycling, improved root development, and just stronger plant growth overall. But worms only stick around where food and shelter are available. Without those conditions, they simply move elsewhere. So, creating a worm-friendly garden is really less about adding worms and more about building the environment they actually want to live in. One of the most effective ways to attract worms is, surprisingly, really simple: alfalfa pellets. These are often sold as livestock feed and are just small, compressed pieces of dried alfalfa. While they might look pretty ordinary, they actually contain a powerful mix of nutrients and natural plant compounds that really stimulate soil life. Alfalfa is a legume, which means it naturally stores nitrogen, along with a wide range of trace minerals. But honestly, the real reason it attracts worms is because of a natural compound called triacontanol. This plant growth stimulant encourages rapid microbial activity in the soil. When you bury a small handful of alfalfa pellets just a few inches beneath the surface and add water, the pellets start to absorb moisture and break down. This decomposition actually sparks an explosion of microbial life. Bacteria and fungi begin feeding on the material, multiplying really quickly as they process the organic matter. Earthworms are drawn to these areas because, well, microbes are their primary food source. Worms don't eat raw organic material directly. Instead, they, follow the microbial communities that break it down. As the microbes flourish around the decomposing pellets, worms gather in those zones to feed. Over time, they establish tunnels and living areas around these food sources, gradually expanding their activity through the surrounding soil. For best results, bury small portions of alfalfa pellets throughout your garden beds every few feet, particularly near heavy-feeding plants like tomatoes, squash, or peppers. Water the area well so the pellets begin softening and decomposing. Within a few weeks, worm activity often increases dramatically. While alfalfa pellets feed microbial life underground, worms also need a comfortable environment at the surface. This is where decomposing leaf mulch becomes incredibly powerful. Earthworms are mostly nocturnal surface feeders. At night they move upward to feed on partially decomposed organic material resting on the soil surface. In natural ecosystems such as forests, the ground is always covered with layers of fallen leaves slowly breaking down over time. This layer, often called leaf mold, is rich in fungal life. Unlike kitchen scraps that tend to attract bacteria, decomposing leaves support fungal communities that many earthworm species strongly prefer. When leaves are allowed to break down naturally, they create a soft, sponge-like layer that retains moisture and protects the soil from temperature extremes. This environment keeps the soil surface cool, damp, and full of food sources. Applying a 2 to 3 inch layer of leaves across garden beds recreates this natural forest floor effect. The leaves can be shredded or left whole. The key is keeping them slightly moist so decomposition continues steadily. Over time, fungi break down the leaves while worms feed on the material and pull pieces of it deeper into the soil. This process enriches the soil while expanding worm tunnels throughout the bed. Unlike many mulches that simply protect the soil surface, leaf mulch actively feeds the underground ecosystem. Alfalfa pellets and leaf mulch complement each other perfectly because they support two different parts of the soil ecosystem. The pellets encourage microbial growth within the soil itself, drawing worms downward toward the root zone where they improve soil structure and nutrient distribution. Meanwhile, the leaf mulch creates a stable surface habitat where worms can safely feed and reproduce. Together they recreate the conditions found in natural woodland soil: steady organic matter, microbial abundance, and consistent moisture. This balance encourages worms not only to visit the garden but to establish permanent populations. As the worm numbers grow, their castings enrich the soil, while their tunnels improve water movement and root penetration. Within just a single growing season, even tired or compacted soil can begin to transform into a living system that supports healthier plants and stronger harvests. Many gardeners chase fertilizers, soil additives, and, honestly, all sorts of complicated solutions hoping to improve plant growth. But lasting soil fertility rarely comes from a bag. It comes from rebuilding the living ecosystem beneath the surface. Alfalfa pellets provide the microbial fuel that draws worms into the soil. Moist leaf mulch offers the shelter and food that encourages them to stay. Together, these two simple materials can revive soil that once seemed, well, lifeless. As worm populations grow, the soil becomes softer, darker, and more productive. Water retention improves, roots spread more easily, and plants gain access to nutrients that were once locked away. Healthy soil is not created overnight, but these methods set the biological process in motion, quickly and naturally. If you found this guide helpful, support Nature's Flora by liking the video, sharing it with fellow gardeners, and leaving a comment about your own soil building techniques. And hey, don't forget to subscribe for more practical guides that help turn ordinary gardens into thriving ecosystems.